Sponsoring brought to you in part by Podbean. You're listening to Speech Therapy on Podcast Radio.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, just keeping it 100. Normally, yes, on the show, there's introduction and credits that the host kind of delivers.
Okay.
But, ladies and gentlemen, since Mr. McQuarrie doesn't have any notes, and like you said, he's winging it, obviously, I go by the name of Don Grizzle, stand-up comedian, writer, actor, and part-time panhandler. So if there's anybody out there that ever sees me panhandling in your city, in your state, just mind your business and give me money.
As long as we're keeping it a buck.
Yeah,
as long as we're keeping it a buck.
As long as we're keeping it a buck.
Yeah. That is some strong vodka.
Yes.
You have to mind the business that pays you and mind your business. So that's all I can tell you as far as that goes. But yes, he is my first ever guest on my podcast. Okay, I'm going to throw this name out. See if you like it. Speech therapy. Sounds generic, basic. I get it, but I mean, it's just a name that I threw out there. There was The Talk, but there's already a The Talk. The same way there's already a The View or The Breakfast Club.
Right.
RIP to them, by the way. I heard they may or may not be breaking up. More on that later, but I did see what Angela Ye tweeted out about them possibly coming to an end, air quotes, so I'm not really sure about that. But if it's true, RIP to them. If it's not true, fuck social media. They all love to lie. It's all clickbait. And I like speech therapy, but I don't know if it fits me. I could name it what I already named my Snapchat show, Entertainment with Ian. That is something I could do, although I feel like I would have to incorporate what I do on Snapchat into the podcast, which, I mean, would be good video-wise on YouTube, but as far as like a podcast, I mean, people aren't going to necessarily see me taking a shot. They may hear it if I'm in the microphone, so I just don't know about that yet. So.
Well, I think it really kind of goes into, what your vision is for it.
Of course.
Because I think speech therapy is very powerful because, the very most integral part of the show is talking.
Right.
Which is speech.
You're right about that.
And it could very well be an opportunity for you and yourself or your viewers out there in viewerland to, get some therapy as well. So I think speech therapy it's a winner. It's a go.
Okay.
It's a go. Personally, for me, it's a go because, like I said, you creating, an atmosphere where people can, come listening at you, kind of get out things that your thoughts or, things you want to talk about. And it could be, some really deep, level stuff, or it could just be some surface stuff of therapy, like you were talking about with the possibility of the Breakfast Club, break it up. From some of the sources that I've seen, which is going to be a very big deal if this were to happen, and I don't know if the ink is signed, so again, like you said, air quote, don't quote me on it. But, Angela Yee is going to get her own show. So it'll still be the Breakfast Club, but she's going to get her own syndicated show, which is,
good on you, Angela Yee.
Yeah.
We are Yee to that. But no, you're right. My vision for this podcast in particular is, don't get me wrong, folks, I am no therapist. I'm not licensed. I don't have a degree for any of this. So the fact that I'm calling it speech therapy kind of puts you in the mind of, okay, come listen, let's meditate, let's talk about all the problems in the world, and let's be at peace, let's be at calm, let's focus on your energy, let's focus on where you are right now and how you feel. How does that make you feel? How do you react to that? Not a kumbaya, but what does Will Smith say in Bad Boys 2? I believe it's woosah. Woosah. And I just don't know if I'm the type of person that will put you in that mindset. Okay, the therapy part to me is mostly just talking about what's going on. A lot of people have things that they want to get off their chest, but they never do, so they let it build up. They don't know who to talk to. They don't want to talk to their therapist about it because, you know, they're already paying an ungodly amount of money to talk about everything else. So in my head, you should talk about those things, but there are some things you just don't tell your therapist, and that's why you keep going back, right? That's how they keep juicing you for money. But that's a different story altogether. But I just feel like, you know, there are some things that I need to get off my chest, and a lot of people would relate to that. So in my head, that's therapy. Talking about it is therapy. So that's why I wanted to call it speech therapy, because we are talking, and this is therapeutic. But in a sense of, you know, you're not paying for this. You're listening of your own free will. I feel like I'm a relatable guy. And I've just decided to have him as a first guest because you and I have the most amazing conversations, and we always talk about how it should be recorded, but we never get to do it. So here we are, recording it for people who want to view it possibly, and this is the first episode, so yes, there's going to be some cringe-worthy things, you know, the setup, maybe the sound, but, you know, you got to start somewhere. And thank you for coming. I know this is, well, it's not necessarily short notice, but it is a bit of a distance of a drive for you. But I appreciate you being here, and I hope you feel comfortable.
Oh, 100%. You know, it's, as you always do, it's nothing but the best. It's top quality. I feel very comfortable. We got a great chair that I'm in now.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen out there in viewerland, if you could have seen the chair that I think, as the first guest on the show, he was trying to set me up. Okay? He was trying to set us up. That's all I'm saying. It was one of those, how do I say it? One of those chairs for people that have a weight limit. What? Over a certain amount, don't need to sit in it.
You know what?
Let's just be clear.
You know what?
If he didn't say that,
that's what he asked to get the chair switched. So the fact that he waited until we were on camera to completely throw me under the bus, you know what? We're going to talk about that later. But folks, I do apologize. I had him sitting in a beautiful canvas chair. Come to find out, it wasn't to his liking, so I switched it. No problem. But apparently there's some problem that he wants to talk about.
People, it's not necessarily that was to my liking. It's my ability to be able to hold up in this structure. Okay? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, you're sitting in it pretty fine. I think this is getting out of it.
No. Ladies and gentlemen, let's break it down here. He has the same chair. Okay? He has the same chair that I'm sitting in now. So if he's sitting in a good sturdy chair, why would he put me in the canvas chair? Listen, why would I be the guinea pig for the first show? Okay. To say, hey, you know what? Let's just go ahead and put him in the canvas chair.
In my defense.
I'm going to sit in the spin around computer chair. I want to spin around. As you can see, I like spinning around.
Before he got here, folks, I was setting up everything, and I got this canvas chair from Walmart. Paid top quality for it. Okay, it's not like it's a great canvas chair, but it's enough money to make you sit in and think, yeah, I guess I could sit on this, you know, outside, inside, with the coffee, with tea, or smoking a blunt, anything just to feel comfortable. I bought it. I sat in it. I loved it. I thought maybe he would love it too. You know, he and I are kind of we're different in weight. I feel like I weigh more than him. He's lost a lot of weight. You look good, by the way. But if I can sit in it and feel comfortable, he can sit in it and feel comfortable. That's my mindset. You know, that's what I'm thinking. So I wish I would have kept it out so that he'd be able to see what I'm talking about.
Watch the credits. Watch the credits.
Yeah, maybe it'll be
it may just be a
gag reel or something like an incredible, something where y'all see I wish that I had a video recorded him trying to get out of it. Now that was a little funny. Okay. And I did feel bad. So, but he's on a better chair now. He's on a better chair now, and
yes,
we're rolling. Things are good. So, yes, Speech Therapy, the podcast, hosted by Ian McCrary, and I have my first guest here.
Listen, we don't have to give the whole government name.
Because
you know what I'm saying? I don't know if we can edit that shit out.
Okay, listen.
So, okay. You know what I'm saying?
All right,
we don't do no government. We don't do no government.
Okay, let me say that again.
Black people don't do no government.
Let me say that again. Welcome to my podcast, my first ever podcast, Speech Therapy. I'm your host, Ian McCrary, and I'm here with the great Don Grizzle, a.k.a. Faux Shizzle, a.k.a. my nizzle, a.k.a. the jelly to my biscuit, the butter to my roll, not the Batman to my Robin, but
so
definitely.
First not was the Batman. Comment.
Not the Batman to my Robin. Not the Batman to my Robin.
Let's just start right there. If I'm not Robin, listen. If I can't even be Robin and I'm the OG. I'm a Batman and you're the possibility of being Robin. What the hell are you talking about? Like, he's not the Batman. I mean, he's not the Robin to my Batman. What the hell?
This is where I was going with it.
And you do know that.
This is where I was going with it.
And you do know that.
The butter to my roll, not the Batman to my Robin, but definitely somebody to behold. Now, how you feel? It's kind of corny, wasn't it?
No, it's not necessarily corny, but I mean, like we say what I'm not, but then we say what I am, and which is great. But it's like, if I can't be Robin, man, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Robin didn't even really do anything. Batman did everything. Like, Robin, every once in a while, especially, for those viewers out there that know about the old show Batman and Robin, which is what I grew up on. Okay,
the one from 1998.
No, sir. We're talking about the show that started all of this.
Sorry. I'm talking about from when I was okay.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. That's what those viewers, you might have some, you're going to have a target audience that is, of course, going to be around your, age group and things like that. But then you might have people around my age group, 30s, 40s, you know what I'm saying, 60s, 70s, 80s. Might be a centurion out there, which is 100 years old.
Okay.
Like, you know what? I'm going to watch Speech Therapy with Ian McCrary, and I'm going to see the first guest on the show is his uncle, and trying to give out government names and putting in canvas chairs. They might want to tune in. But the thing about the Batman thing is, on that show, if you ever, that's YouTube. You can go look it up. Those that not privy to. But on the show, Batman does everything. Like I'm talking about, he drives the car, he's the first one up the building, he's the hero. Robin is always behind, some kind of way. Even though he's right there with Batman, you don't never see him until the last couple of shots. Hey, Batman, anything I can do? No, Robin, I've already been the hero.
They talk about that on the show?
Pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, you need to watch it.
I'm so glad we have come a long way with technology and filmmaking, and we went from black and white movies. Well, first of all, we went from still pictures to moving pictures to black and white movies to colored films to silent films to noise making, I don't know, films that have sound today, to stereo, in living color, you know. So it's to hear you say that. Wow, I'm definitely before my time.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. I understand. But see, you know, ladies and gentlemen, I get it. It's totally this show. But again, I'm the OG. I can do this. But here's the thing. Okay, you should notice. Okay, that the generation that he's speaking to and speaking about, they have this thing that they mention when they say, like, totally not my area. I don't know nothing about that. Okay, well, here's the thing. Okay, just a little bit of little sprinkle of, hey, something to think about, right? I get it. You guys were feeling yourself. We were once there, where it was our era. We was feeling it. Like, hey, you know what I'm doing? Hey, you old people talking about get off on my lawn and all of this and all. I don't know nothing about that. Turn my music down. What? You know what I'm saying? I get it. So we've been there, right?
Right.
But to kind of know where you're going, you might know where things have been. That's all I'm saying.
Very true.
Right? So
Very
to
true.
appreciate the era that you're in right now, you might want to dibble and dabble and say, what was they watching? They was watching this? You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's do this, right? Just real quick, and I'm allowing you to man your ship and do your show the way you wanted to go. Let me ask you this. Cartoons. For you growing up and watching cartoons to the kind of cartoons that they have today, right? Do you feel as if it's like, this is what kids are watching today? Or it's like, how is it in comparison to what you watch?
Compared to what I used to watch, I felt like, I don't know, I look at kids shows today and I think exactly the same thing of what you just said. Is this what they're watching? Because back when I was a child, I'm not a child, but back when I was young and growing up and watching Cartoon Network, Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, Boomerang, the cartoons were coming, off of a decade of, we had a lot going on in the 90s to the early 2000s. It was a very specific time period of people becoming more or less aware of what the country really focuses on when it comes to independence, individuality, and freedom at the end of the day. We've had everything from the LA riots in the 90s to our country being attacked in the early 2000s. The way writers were telling a story, especially with kids shows, they were leaving subtle hints of what's going on in the world and also what they hoped would continue their legacy in animation and basically telling a story from when they moved on. Like stories like, watching The Incredibles to 10 years later coming out with an Incredibles 2. The same thing with Finding Nemo to 10 years later creating Finding Dory. As a child, you want to watch these new movies and think, oh man, this is for me. I get it now. But then when you watch it and there's some things that you may not get because you're not a child anymore. And when you look at what kids are doing nowadays, and as far as technology has progressed, it's a lot going on. I can honestly tell you that. The kids today watching these shows was nothing compared to what we were watching when I was a child. We were outside most of the time anyway. So coming back in and watching TV was basically just like putting you to sleep, basically. It was just something in the background. Tom and Jerry, Looney Tunes. It's just something in the background. Yeah, we love to watch it. Yeah, we love to hear Porky Pig say blah, 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 blah. That's all, folks, at the end of the day. It's iconic. It's something that was always on in the background. But when you watch TV shows today, even in the shows, the kids are doing most of the things that are funny or comedic or drama-filled through their cell phones. So it's kind of like the kids today are mostly glued to the TV watching the very same thing that they're doing in reality. So it's weird. It's definitely weird. So that was a very good question. Sorry to give such a detailed answer, but
speech therapy.
Yeah. I feel like the kids today, they just, oh my God, they'll never live life the way we did growing up, which is, being outside all the time, having those experiences, those moments with your friends, your mom, your dad, even your grandmother telling you to be inside before the street lights came on, and if you didn't, you'd get a whooping, which, if you live in the South, involved anything between a belt and a switch, and just, being a kid and learning what not to do and learning by mistake, by trial and error, outside. But now that kids today are, watching TV shows like Rick and Morty, which is very funny. I don't mean to pick on them. It's very funny, but it's also that irreverent take on, something as wild as Family Guy or like South Park. Everything is irreverent nowadays, and it's mostly about, public appearance. So, hell, even the kids that are playing high school TV shows on platforms like Netflix, they're in their 30s playing high school kids. Come on, that's not. I mean, I'm not saying it's not something you should do, but I'm just telling you that is the way the world is right now, and what we watch and what kids are watching. You have 12 and 14-year-old kids walking around with iPads, iPhones that cost more than the cost of them living. They're children. I just don't understand why they would need something that is expensive. Now, don't get me wrong, technology has come far in the sense of, back in the 80s and 70s when we were having children being abducted left and right. It does give parents a more indefinite way to keep in touch with their kids through Find My iPhone or just tracking them in a sense. But as far as them being around their friends and having cell phones and being like, oh, do you think Jake likes me or do you think he just wants to have sex with me? You're 12. You're 14. Why should you be thinking about these things so early in your life and not thinking about, hey, I can't come to your birthday party this weekend. My family's going out of town. It's my dad's birthday, blah, blah, blah. Something like that. Something offhanded as that. So it's very, very, very weird when I think of kids shows today because it just opens up a door of, wow, this is what they're showing our kids because this is what they're doing right now, in a sense.
Well, to some degree, I think it's a key word is exposure.
Yeah.
That's
a great word.
Absolutely, 100%. It is a very in-depth word. But exposure and what they're being exposed to, which is a segue to a very, and this word like seems to keep it's in my vocabulary because I just recognize it in these situations where when I think about it, I'm like, this is really a conundrum. Mm-hmm. This is a conundrum. And those that know that word conundrum know when I say.
I don't know.
Okay. Low key I don't, but I think I do. That's why I'm using it. But I think it would apply to this, which is, it's a conundrum when basically, everything that you describe, to a T is there's positives for the advancement and the evolution of exposure and what kids are exposed to as far as opportunities, speaking about Find My Phone. Mm-hmm. That's a technology that we don't know how many lives has that technology saved. Of being able to have that. How many lives has that technology saved of parents being able to find their kids by the phone? Right?
Right.
How many lives? Over since its inception, you know what I mean? Since somebody came up with that thought and created that, right? Mm-hmm. Data networking system and everything. Like, how many lives has that possibly saved? So that's one side of the conundrum, ladies and gentlemen. in the end. The other side of the conundrum is this. The other part you spoke about, which is, why are you worried about, getting married at 12 or something? Like, you know what I'm saying? This exposure to, a certain infusion, and this, I'm a blunt speaker, ladies and gentlemen, and it's the sexual nature.
Yeah. Early
of things, of discussion, as opposed to, like you said, just being a kid. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Going out, riding your bike. Hey, let's build a clubhouse. Let's build a fort house or something. Stuff like that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just going to say, as opposed to speeding up that evolution because of the technology, because of the phone, you're speeding it up, where, of course, just by scientific nature, and then, again, speech therapy, don't quote me on this, but in speech therapy, we're talking about it. So, the thing about it is, in depth of speeding up that evolution, it would be my understanding that a kid's cerebral cortex is not fully developed yet. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna shape it in a way that their view and perspective on life is sexual.
Yeah.
Earlier. You know what I mean? Yeah. As opposed to, hey, let them live life a little bit, get a little bit of experience. And, you know what I'm saying? As far as just living, being a human being here on the earth for a certain amount of years. And here's, as always, and I'm sure you're probably going to drop a link or something for people to get in contact with you on the speech therapy show at the end of the show. But that would be my thing. What are the people watching this particular program, speech therapy, the Ian McQuarrie Show, what do they feel about it? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because as a collective, that's also going to be key too. But my question is, and where I was going with it and in framing it was what you said, that's the conundrum. We don't know how many lives have been saved because of the technology, but then look at how it's shaping us as a society.
Right.
And the effects that it has on us.
Yeah. And speaking of that, one negative effect that it has had on us, especially in society, is cancel culture.
Cancel culture.
Which is a great thing to segue into when it comes to people talking in person or online about things that they just don't really have enough information about, and they speak nonsense or they talk ignorantly about it at hand. So I think that's definitely a negative. When it comes to pros and cons, that's definitely a negative of what's come about that, because cancel culture, in a sense, I know we talked about this before, but I'm glad we're bringing it back up now, is just, oh man, it's wild, because we see both sides of the story, but at the same time, the people who choose to get canceled for it in a negative way and not a positive way, it's wild to me, because I feel like, okay, there's a positive way to get canceled and then there's a negative way to get canceled. This is the negative way. A negative way to get canceled is something like, say you don't like the color green online or in person, and somebody asks you why, and you say, oh, it's just a boring color. I just don't see the need for it on the color spectrum at all. I don't see why God created it. And you get canceled for it. You get sponsorships taken away, because a lot of people do like the color green and they don't agree with you. And it's, you have all of this. Exactly. You have all of these people coming after you with knives and pitchforks because they think that you're wrong. And instead of you telling them or asking them, okay, well, why am I wrong? You continue to say, well, I'm right. The color green is just disgusting. It shouldn't have even been created. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care if you think I'm wrong. I know that I'm right. Blah, blah, blah. This is a hill that I will die on, and I don't care if you don't like me. Blah, blah, blah. Take my sponsorships away. Blah, blah, blah. Take all my money. I don't care. I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be living in my house or whatever. You're not going to come to my doorstep. Spouting off all this negativity, and in the end, it canceling you. That is the negative side. The positive side is, okay, saying you don't like the color green, people asking you why, you giving your opinion, and then you turn around and being like, well, you know what? Maybe there was a reason why God created the color green. Maybe there's a reason why it's on the color spectrum. Let me do my research. Maybe, not saying that I'm going to like it after I like doing this, but maybe the color green just might be something that we all need to survive. Because if you think about it, and as you do your research, green is everywhere. What color are the forests? What color is the moss that lets you know there's something living near civilization or there's civilization close to you? I mean, people's eyes are green. The irises are green. It's weed is green, and you can grow that. I mean, and a lot of people smoke weed, so it's like, I'm not telling you that you should like the color green, but I'm telling you that maybe you should do a lot more research after you get canceled, in a sense of you knowing how to tell people, you know what, you guys are right. Maybe there is a reason why the green is just in the world and that exists. It may not be the shittiest color on the color spectrum, but it's still something that I don't like. But I'm glad you guys were able to call attention to that, and I'm glad that I was able to do my own research. So instead of being canceled in a negative way, you're canceled in a positive way, where publicly people are still going to bash you, but if you're able to give an apology and say you're going to do better and actually put in an effort to do better, then that's in my head, that's being canceled in a positive way, because you're talking ignorant and the public decided to educate you, and you took a step forward and made the effort to actually learn why you were ignorant in the first place. So, but I do want to hear your opinion about it.
Well, me being the OG again, right, like me being an OG about. Like I'm gonna take a term used earlier in the show, and I'm gonna use it and I'm gonna apply it, which is that's definitely not the era that I'm from. Like, ladies and gentlemen, that's where I'm from. Okay, I'm not from era. Okay, this is you guys' era. Okay, this is you guys' era. Okay, you guys look at what we're doing with it. Look at what we're doing with it. Because, the nature of what, you would attribute it to is like, we ain't have to put no labels on it. Mm-hmm. We just don't mess with you. Like that, you know what I'm saying? That's the principle. Like, if you, because in my opinion, the way that I guess this came about as far as being able to, etch out somebody or, blackball them. First of all, my thing about it is, who are you? You know what I mean? Who are you to cancel anyone? You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Tell me what magical, mystical powers, you know what I'm saying, that you think you can just, you don't exist anymore. No, they was existing before you knew they were existing, exactly. And even after you don't even recognize they're existing, but still existing. Okay? So that's the part that, again, and ladies and gentlemen out there, every time you hear the word conundrum, I want you to take a sip of something. I want you to, because you're going to be hearing it live. Just in case that wasn't clear. We take a word, and when it comes about, we take a sip. Okay, that's the game we're playing. If you're with us, you take a sip. Okay, the word conundrum. Mm-hmm. Okay,
you just heard it, right? So you take a sip.
Take another sip. Mm-hmm. But
this is water. I've got my water.
And this is Sprite, by the way.
Yes.
I know it's Red Solo Cup, and they're probably.
I fill you up.
He's on camera just getting wasted.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? No.
It's not like that at all, ladies and gentlemen.
Not at all.
It's not like that at all.
Not at all. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing. I'm a functioning, okay, part-timer. You know what I'm saying? When I'm in my pleasure, I can do my pleasure. You know what I'm saying? But when it's work and it's responsibility, it's tasks at hand, you got to separate two. And I think that's another thing when you're talking about cancel culture and you're talking about what's going on in this era, man. there's no separation.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as understanding that there's a time and a place for everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like, you see, circling back to the cancel before we get off of that, is this, I'll wrap it up with this, is being able to think that your voice is, or you matter more than someone else. That's what I would feel like the spirit of that culture is, that you're saying, hey, and don't get me wrong, some of these examples of people saying, okay, the vile things that this person has done, that, okay, it comes out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they say, so-and-so's canceled. We not buying no more of their music.
Right.
We're not da-da-da-da, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But each and every one of us has bones in the closet.
Skeletons in the closet, yes.
Okay, skeletons, bones,
yeah.
Same thing. Okay, but so we all do, and that's what principally, and not even on a moral scale, but just on a principle level. If you recognize that you yourself have bones in the closet, how do you get to tell the person that got exposed about their bones in the closet that they are, you're just, put you on the ground.
Oh, God.
You under my feet.
It's a double standard.
It's a double standard.
It's a double standard.
Double standard.
It's a double standard.
Double standard. 100%.
I don't understand why that is, but in our society right now, that is the way it is. And, man.
But my question is, just real quick, is this: who dictates it? That's the key to me. It's like, who?
Apparently the people online. Apparently the people online who just love to hide behind a computer screen and type away all kinds of things on a keyboard because, you know, that's what we do. We don't show up in person anymore. We've become a very soft society when it comes to that. I feel like. I mean, back in the day, you know, you say some snarky or any kind of back talk or smack talk, you meet me outside. I'm pretty sure my uncle can attest to that as well. But nowadays, we just like to hop on a keyboard and tweet. And I don't understand that. I really don't. But, you know, it's...
Well, see,
cowardly in a sense. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. I just wanted to say that it's cowardly.
It's cowardly.
Yeah, go ahead.
All I was going to say is this: is that, see, that's the other part of it that is when you're talking about technology and things. Is, again, you know, let's look at it. You get an opportunity, just like now, what you're doing, to create a voice for yourself or a platform. There's outlets of technology that gives you a platform to have this nice setup and everything, and to be able to voice your opinion, right?
Right.
So there's power in that, right? And then there is situations like what you're talking about, where people use it. They use the platforms because they possibly don't have something good or doing the internal work in their self that spews out into that platform. That you know, why does he have love in the background? You know, like, you know what I'm saying? Why it's got to be love? Like, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, think about that for a second. Like, somebody would actually try to critique the fact that you're doing something, like you said before earlier in the show, that, you know, we always have these kind of conversations, and we always say we should record it and do something, and we're actually doing it. And that is the message that most people should take from it, is that, hey, if you got something you want to do, go out and do it. Mm-hmm. Go out and do it.
It shouldn't matter how you look. It shouldn't matter how other people are going to react to it. Just do it, especially if you feel like it's something you want to do, if you were called to do it by some higher form that you believe in, just do it. I mean, 9 times out of 10 I'm going to be completely 100 with you. I'm going to keep it all the way 1,000, not a buck, because I'm not 1,000 because I'm not broke.
And you do know that. And you do know that. You bitch.
I'm going to keep it 1,000 with you. Most people are not going to care. They're not going to care what you do. So do it. If they see it, they see it. They like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't.
I make it a amendment to that. Is that they're gonna care, and they're gonna feel one way about it. The key is you care about what you care about. Right? Because everybody's always gonna have an opinion. Everybody has one. Everybody feels they have an entitlement to say what they feel or what they think about something. But the key is to not get caught up in my opinion, what somebody else got to say. You know what I'm saying? Because they always gonna have something to say. Yeah. So you might as well do you and do what you do, how you do, when you're gonna do it. Yeah. Because that takes all the, well, what do they think about me? Or why did they say that? Why they didn't like that? No. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's called 0 F's given. Yeah.
I say that people aren't going to care about it because in my head, they're not going to care about it until people start talking about it. Until they see that it's starting to look positive for you. Until they see you making a profit off of it, until they see you coming up from rags to riches on it, and it's starting to gain popularity, they're not going to care about it. But until they feel like they could get some sort of clout from it, that's when they're going to care. That's when they're going to give their nasty ass inputs. That's when they're going to congratulate you and be like, oh man, I've been watching you from such and such time, seeing you struggle. I'm so glad to see where you are now. But they don't do that when you're a nobody because they don't care. They see what you're doing, they peep it, but they don't interact. They don't support. Until it start looking good for you, then that's when they start to care. That's how I see it.
That's a great point there, because the thing about that is people want to be associated with winning. Like, you know,
and who would it?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, who says, hey, I'm going to join the losers? Like, nobody. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody say, hey, man, them losers, man. Woo! Boy, they on fire with losing. Like, no. You know what I'm saying? People want to be associated with winners. You know what I mean? You know, and like you said, to me, the point behind that is it's only the thing, though, like you said, the support. You know, I use a great line in hip hop culture is, you know, by one of the rappers that says, you wasn't shooting with me in the gym. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you wasn't shooting with me in the gym, when I'm putting up all them shots to go out there and do what I do and hit game-winning shots, and like you said, now I get to a level of success that you see, it's like, oh, I didn't know he was really going to be able to do that. And it's like, yeah, I was putting up shots. You weren't shooting with me in the gym. Like, so, you know what I'm saying? So that is the bigger question is, how do you navigate with people that are hangers on, right? That, like you said, they see your success and then they want to be a part about it. Now, me personally, I'll speak on it and say, to me, I like to incorporate it all. because I think all of it is the lump sum of life and life experiences. So good, bad, or indifferent, you feel me? Like, I feel it's all a part of the calculation in the equation. But I'm asking you, you know what I'm saying, how do you see, you know, or how would you, you know, react or respond to, you know, someone, you know, that might have been around you, knew about what you was doing, like you said, but then you take off,
right?
And now they blowing up your phone, or it's like, hey, you know, we hang out, or you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, how do you respond to somebody that wasn't shooting with you in the gym versus the people, of course, we already know that were with you, shooting you in the gym and having conversations about, hey, look, you know, let's get together, let's try to link and do-do-do-do. You know, and work, basically shooting with you in the gym. You want that person, of course, to be up there with your success or put some type of light on them. So, but my question is to the people that become hangers on later, like they, you know, are you like, hey, you late, but I still welcome you to the party. At least you're here. You know, you
arrive, man. You know, I always do these scenarios in my head where I'm on like a talk show and I'm talking about all the people who wronged me because of where I am. From some random question that the host has asked me. So how would you feel? You know, remember that time and such and such? How do you feel about it now? And I'll just be like, oh, you know, water under the bridge. I haven't seen that person in such and such time, and I hope they're doing good with their lives. I'm very busy with mine. It was a very unfortunate time in my life, and I'm glad I was able to move on. Most people would say that, right? But no, not me. I'm going to talk so much crap about you while I'm in that scenario in my head on that talk show. So, it's just, man, you know, the people you surround yourself with, you want to bring them up with you. You want them to eat. If they're going to come to your table, you want them to eat. You want to break bread with them. But at the same time, me personally, where I am in my headspace right now, if you're not bringing anything to my table, at least to like help make the spread look good, I might not have a placemat for you. might not have a placemat for you. Keyword there, folks. And if there is a placemat for you there, if there is a plate there might not be some utensils like a fork or a knife to be there. Okay? You might get the food, but you might have to eat it with your hands. Okay? You might get the drink, but you might not get the food. Okay? Even if you got both, you might get the food with the utensils, you might get the drink with the ice, but guess what? That napkin's not going to be there. You might have to dry your hands off on your own clothes. Alright? And that's all I'm going to say about that, ladies and gentlemen. Okay?
Okay. So, moving on. I mean, that's the way you feel about, you know,
right.
culture, and, which is just, I mean, you know, that was extremely graphic.
Yeah.
So, you know, being able to see what you was just describing, somebody at the table, maybe, might not be at the table, but if they're at the table, having the food but having no utensils.
Okay, come on, folks. It's just good banter. It's just good banter.
Having a drink with no ice. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow. You know, wow. What do you say? What do you do? But, you know, man, like, you know, to me, I think, you know, it all is relative because, you know, it's a part of all the experience, right? It's, you know, the amazing thing about, I think that what we do as we go through life, right, is realizing that we're all doing the same thing, but we're doing it differently. You know what I'm saying? And that level of degree of how different people are doing it and versus how you're doing it, right? But simultaneously, it's all being done, you know what I'm saying,
right.
At the same time while we're all trying to do it. So, I would say this. You know what I mean? And like I said, again, being an OG and getting to this point in life, you know, I can speak on it in this way is that, you know, you just start to realize you don't know what people are dealing with, and those silent, you know, battles that they may have and may face with themselves and where they're at. Mm-hmm. Again, like we said, we're all doing the same thing, but we're just doing it differently. So, you know what I mean? Like, you know, being able to be kind and understand that you just don't necessarily know what people might be going through. Which, you know, I think, you know, you've alluded to before, you know, which is, and this might have been a conversation we had off camera, so I don't know if we can pull it on, but, you know, I was just going to say about, you know, really being able for people to have somebody to talk to. You know what I mean? Being able to, you know, have an unjudgmental ear for people to be able to have a release of getting off, you know, things that they might have or might be going through, you know what I mean, in their life that they don't talk about, right? And having a safe space to be able to talk about it, if they want to talk about it. But, you know, man, like, it was a few days ago, and it actually popped up on my timeline as in memories. And one of the memories was about, you know, hearing a story about, you know, somebody that committed suicide. And I just really thought, like, how simple it is, in my opinion, if you can, to just listen to someone that may have those kind of thoughts. And, you know, I'm one of the OGs that, listen, man, I only talk about stuff that I've experienced. So I don't really, that's my era. I don't know how to talk about nothing that I haven't lived, or it's my experience. And so, and that's just me. I'm not trying to say, oh, you know, I'm a G because of it. No, listen, you know, it's G because, like, that to me is what I feel like we're supposed to do, is share our life experiences, you know, not only through a release, but maybe each one teach one type of thing. So that's the perspective that I'm coming from with it. And so what I mean with that is, you know, I can admit, you know what I mean, that I've had suicidal thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Through just being honest and open and transparent, the experiences that, you know, I've had to face and overcome in my life. And so being able to acknowledge that, because I think a lot of times, you know, as we talked off camera before, you know, people don't want to show their ugly side, or they don't, you know, the society tries to teach people to, you know, only show the good side of them, you know, and don't get me wrong, like, I'm not trying to say, like, you know what I mean, like, I can condone the negative or whatever, but to me, my personal walk, just sharing, you know, what you guys are listening to, sharing with you, is that, you know, hey, man, I want to embrace those parts of me that I don't like, instead of trying to bury them and act like I don't have them, or I don't, you know what I'm saying?
And then that goes into the next topic of what I did want to talk about is basically social media is a scam. You know, a lot of the times people post only the good, but they don't really show you the whole struggle. And you never know what they're going through, like behind closed doors, because they're not going to obviously post about it. They just want to show you the good things, the milestones. They don't want to show you the heartbreak, the survival skills, the many times they've died doing something they didn't want to do, or they've had to make sacrifices for other people that, you know, just impacted them in a really negative way. And that does really tie into what you're talking about now, in the sense of you're not going to see people struggling unless you see them every day. So to see them struggling online is, I don't know, to have your life that open on social media is one thing, but It's another thing if you're going to go digging for it, because a lot of times people aren't going to show you that. They're just going to show you what's good happening to them now, like graduation, buying a new car, buying a new house, getting married, having a baby. They're not going to show you how many times they failed that class in order to graduate. They're not going to show you what they had to sell in order to trade in for what they got for like a new car or something like that. They're not going to show you the amount of loan that they had to get for that new house that they bought on a mortgage, you know. They're not going to show you all the pictures and screenshots from the cheating and lying from their exes that they had to go through before they finally found the one to marry. Or, you know, they're not going to tell you about any miscarriages that they had before they finally got pregnant. They're not going to show you all that. They're just going to show you the positives. So that's very good.
Right, which, again, conundrum. Some parts are not to be shown to everybody. Mm-hmm. You know, because what is sacred anymore? What, you know, with all, even now, what we're doing. Like, you know, a conundrum. You know what I mean? It's two sips. Because, you know what I mean? Like, what is just intimate for yourself? Because everybody puts everything out there.
Yeah, what is normal?
You know what I'm saying? What's the normal of, you know what I mean? Right? I'm saying I'm keeping it to yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, some moments and memories, in my opinion, you know, I don't put on any of my social media platforms because that was for me. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, that's my personal, you know what I'm saying, life experience. Now, some people might say, oh, well, but you're not showing us everything. Again, who are you, you know what I'm saying, to dictate to me what I need to show you? Like, you know what I'm saying? Or what I should be showing. Yeah. It's just like somebody that, like I said again, might come on your page and, you know, you have a picture of some art that you put out or whatever, and, you know, you feel good about it, or it speaks or it resonates something with you. Now, they will go and comment, you know, oh, well, you could have moved a little bit to the left and it would have looked a whole lot better. Like, hey, man, I did it how I did it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did it how I did it. I mean, you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to point and emphasize on the negative. I'm just saying, again, people are always going to have an opinion on things, whether they're in agreement with your opinion or whether they're not in agreement with your opinion.
If you're not signing any of my checks or sending me money, well, you don't get to have an opinion in my life. I'm sorry. You're especially not going to tell me what I can and can't post on my social platforms. That's just how it is. That's just how it is.
Get familiar.
Get very familiar with that. If you need the definite, you know what? I'm pretty sure I have it. Hang on, give me a second. Who are you to dictate to me? I love that. What is that from, by the way? That is one of your favorite sayings. I'm sure that's from a movie you've heard. You don't get to dictate to me. Oh, I feel like I've heard that from somewhere.
Yeah.
It sounds like Dave Chappelle or Ricky Smiley or something.
It really does.
I don't know.
God, I don't know. I'm trying to grab it.
If you know, send us. Send us
for the link.
Exactly, yeah, something. Yeah. But yeah, I'm pretty sure
we pride ourselves on being real students of the game of movies and shows and stuff like that. Wow.
But yeah, I mean, you know, people are very opinionated nowadays, whereas they weren't a decade ago, because of what's going on, what we're doing. We're 3 years into this pandemic, and we've already got another virus. It's, you know, people are bored. You know, they love to get online to see what other people are doing and give their nasty ass unpopular opinions, and that's what it is. That is what it is. So, like I said, you know, do what makes you happy. Nobody's gonna care unless it starts to look good on you, and they feel like they can ride your coattails on it, so they're gonna give their input then. But right now, just starting out, you're a nobody. Nobody's not going to care. They may peep it, but they're not going to care about it.
Wait a minute. Did you just call the viewers nobody?
No, I'm not saying the viewers are nobody.
Oh, okay.
That's how you took it.
Oh, okay.
I see what you're trying to. See how he tried to cancel me. No. Let's not get it twisted here. Let's not get it twisted here.
You're nobody.
No,
but
that's
you
not
can be
the message.
Somebody when I'm somebody.
That's not the message I'm trying to.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying. I was just checking and making sure he wasn't calling them nobodies out there because if they're watching, there's somebody they watching. I know, man. Hey, man. It's called satire. You know what I'm saying? Like, the part of the show is satire. Like, catch up, man.
This has been a really good first episode.
Of course.
I feel like.
Of course, because I'm here.
Of course.
Because I'm here. For the first one.
We are almost out of time.
Yes,
so I had to get that in there to say that. Thank you again for coming on the show. I felt like there's a whole heck of a lot more that we could have talked about.
Of course.
But that will maybe be for another episode. Who knows? Yeah. I just cannot believe that we finally got this thing off the ground. We've been talking about it for decades, feels like. Years.
But you know what? That's a good key, is that when it's time, it's time.
Yeah.
I got that saying, man, I'm always where I need to be, when I need to be, and I'm always right on time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, the universe and life delivering things that, if you allow yourself to let it just gravitate to you, it happens in its time.
Right.
Because time is the most valuable thing that we got.
And you can't get it back.
Once you spend it, you can't get it back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, it's dope, man. I appreciate you having me on, man. And, coming through, doing how we do when we do. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Thank you so much. No, man. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, thank you.
We made it through it. I don't know how many conundrums you had, but
we had quite a few.
We did
quite a few. And that is a wrap.
Cut the check. Speech therapy. You bitch.
Sponsoring brought to you in part by Podbean. You're listening to Speech Therapy on Podcast Radio.